Fast forward, unicorn or channel so AG politics away. Podcast are restricted and we make headlines. And a jimre na EDB exumo awa Nidimia rock simus and EDD Kanya. The best is to subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so share na afro front so answer into me and give Nidima young political highways in Jedem unia enya sam talk na ningna say his lordship a chief justice Bafo Boni and Menoka say what me establish a special court and omoye Galamsey illegal mining ye do mo ebegyina sa court no motimi Fastrack omo cases nua Menoka say the bobo every sim na yahwe ne ko ene de ba beda say wotimi ajemre e wo hasi yanko eye insemfoni AGH politics avenue.
Of foreign nationals involved in Galamsey questioning how they enter the country and escape even after arrest. He says, that's the Chief Justice, saying that this underscores the need for stronger collaboration between the Judicial Service, the Ghana Immigration Service, and the Ghana Prison Service to combat the menace and other transactional crimes. Now, as the court faces heavy congestion, as we've seen over the period, with special courts set to be rolled out from Monday, the Chief Justice is saying that stronger collaboration between these institutions I mentioned earlier will help fast-track cases and tackle these crimes. Illegal mining, Galamsey being one of the key issues to look out for. Take a look.
In my bid to tackle congestion in courts, we have decided that we are going to set up dual morning and afternoon court system. And some judges will sit in the morning and other judges will sit in the afternoon. We intend to create special courts, and they are going to be rolled out coming Monday. These special courts are going to deal with cybercrime, Galamsey, human trafficking, In my bid to tackle congestion in courts, we have decided that we are going to set up dual morning and afternoon court system. And some judges will sit in the morning and other judges will sit in the afternoon. We intend to create special courts, and they are going to be rolled out coming Monday. These special courts are going to deal with cybercrime, Galamsey, human trafficking, In my bid to tackle congestion in courts, we have decided that we are going to set up dual morning and afternoon court system. And some judges will sit in the morning and other judges will sit in the afternoon. We intend to create special courts, and they are going to be rolled out coming Monday. These special courts are going to deal with cybercrime.
So that's the Chief Justice there. Let's go on to Zoom now. Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe is the convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey and is connecting with us right now. Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. How are you?
Well, thank you. So thank you for asking. Now, you hear the Chief Justice clear in his words timelines to when these specialized courts will start, because this is not the first time we're hearing this. If you recall, the president did give some indication of a sort when there were these engagements last year on the fight against Galamsey. Now we're hearing from the Chief Justice that by Monday, these specialized courts will kick in live, and that is also meant to deal with this backlog of cases, Galamsey being one of the major ones. How does it strike you?
Well, Alfred, we've been waiting for this for too long a time. You know, the offer was made last year, and now we hear the Chief Justice give a timeline to it. Monday is just a few days away. Again, we would want to see how, you know, these courts would operate and how it would result in speedy trial of some of these cases that have been stuck in the courts. And so we take it with cautious optimism, hoping that it would deliver what exactly we are hoping it would do. But you know that it's not just the issues of the courts. It starts from the arrest to the investigators and to the prosecutions. We're hoping that our police people would take the criminals or the suspected criminals that will be arrested through the Minerals and Mining Act and not be using any trespass or anything. And then our judges would also do a good job and would have speedy trials and will also not just be dealing with, the small fishes, but the kingpins that His Excellency the President promised in October 2024. We're going to be able to see these people being prosecuted as well.
And one of the concerns I recall, well, maybe not concerns, but one of the issues that the Attorney General raised sometime last year, in fact, when the President met the CSOs, you were there at that meeting at the Jubilee House on the same matter of Galamsey. The Attorney General did indicate that you arrest these illegal miners, you take them to court, they are granted bail, and the next moment they are seen back at the same illegal mining site where they were arrested. I mean, how would this, from where you sit, address this challenge that he talked about?
Well, I think it's a major problem. And you see, Alfred, you need to go back to the days of Operation Vanguard, for example. We're recording less than 10% prosecution, and convictions were even less. And then we know the number of arrests that the NIMOS have been able to do. How many of that have been able to been successfully prosecuted? The wheels of justice, seem to move too extra slow when it comes to the issues of Galamsey. So we are hoping that now that there's a specialized court, the Chief Justice would also pay attention to it, so that the judges who will be handling these cases themselves will know that the Chief Justice is watching, all of us are watching, and so that the cases, all the cases that, we've reported, we would then be able to see some prosecution. And you see, once we get prosecutions happen, it also then becomes a deterrent. And then hopefully, because these are also specialized courts, we would have judges who understand the laws so far as the Minerals and Mining Act is concerned, and they would apply them. Bear in mind, some time back, there was a Takwa court where there were some Chinese that had been arrested. When prosecution was done, the judge gave them the minimum sentence for Ghanaians. That's what he gave to foreigners, and so we are hoping, which was just a fine, would be paid like a ticket. So we are hoping that our judges who will be sitting there would bear in mind that these are existential threats that face us. And so when the cases come, they would make sure that they are exacting the maximum punishment. We need to ensure that when they are foreigners, they serve their sentences before, if they are going to be deported, they are deported. You see, justice should not only be done, but should be seen to be done, and should be done expeditiously.
Let's see. Now, as of end of last year, we're told almost 2,000 illegal miners had been arrested from January last year to the end of December. A number of them have been arraigned before court. If we're talking about fixing that problem of the backlog of cases, we should also be looking at the prisons, is it not? Because if all of these persons who are arrested would have to be imprisoned after the guilt has been established, that's also going to create another challenge at that end, isn't it?
Well, definitely that's the case. And again, I'm just hoping that in doing all of this, we will be looking for the root causes. So in the prosecutions that would be done, the Attorney General and his prosecutors and the state attorneys would be able to use a lot of the pawns that are in these games that might be arrested, to be able to get the knights, the queens, and the kings, who are behind this, so that we're not just going to be imprisoning these little ones who are in there to eke a living. Yes, they've committed the crimes, but we should be able to use that, to lure and then be able to get the root causes. These politically exposed people, these influential people, these organized criminals who are behind it. So yes, I agree with you that we need to make sure we're clearing, we're unplugging our prisons. So we should not be giving people whose sins are misdemeanors custodial sentences. But these, hardened Galamsey criminals, especially the kingpins who are involved in this, they are the ones who should be serving the steep, custodial sentences. And I'm just also hoping that this whole thing of community service that we've been talking about as also being able to come, then they're not too serious cases, the misdemeanors and all of that. Community cases, sentences could then be done. And then these people who are really impacting upon our existence as a people, they would be given the stiffer custodial sentences. And then another thing that Alfred would do for us is that all the several excavators that have been confiscated, and all of these equipment, that are seized in the theaters of these crimes, that we've not been able to do forfeiture for. The courts, once they find them guilty, we can get forfeiture and then we can deploy them into some better use.
I see. Now, there's a trend, and this is going to be my final point. There's something I have observed over the period with the NIMOS's operations in these illegal mining areas. Before they get there, it's either the illegal miners have gotten wind of they are coming, and so they run away. They leave that site even before NIMOS gets there. Or in some cases, as we've seen with the Forestry Commission guards, they get these illegal mining sites. They don't even arrest them because they are a lot in this Abrewa Ninkrine area, thousands. Mm-hmm. So they had to rather burn down this settlement and then disperse them. From what we're hearing, these illegal miners at Abrewa Ninkrine who were dispersed after their location was burned down have converged again. They're coming back. They're coming back to do it. That's a big challenge, is it not?
No, it's definitely a big challenge. But there was a solution. You mentioned the engagement that we had with His Excellency the President, the CSOs. In that meeting, NIMOS had told us specifically that they were going to, one of their strategies was to set up permanent bases in these places, so that they are not just going and coming back like they are currently doing, but it looks as if they've not been provided the resources. So our appeal to His Excellency the President is that 150 million cedis that have been offered to NIMOS in the budget should be released, so NIMOS can have permanent bases within these places. Our forest reserves, our water bodies, they can permanently, so Abrewa Ninkrine, for example, you need to have a permanent base in there, so that when you go into these places, you then can hold the force that are there, because they are supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be leaving. Again, the Forestry Commission has also started a project where now they are building permanent bases, very strong bases within, some of their forest reserves. That's also something that should be encouraged. And I would urge His Excellency the President, the Minister of Finance, that the resources that are required to make sure that the NIMOSs have their permanent bases, the forestry people also have their permanent bases, and then we make the forestry guards, we make them a paramilitary organization. Make sure we provide them with superior firepower compared to what these illegal miners are having, so that then we can consolidate it. So once you go in there, you clear the people, you're able to deal with it. It also would mean that in terms of, some of these attacks where they run off, the element of surprise is going to be important. Recently, we saw NIMOS get into a place in the eastern region. After trekking several kilometers and getting there, the people were able to swim to the other side. What is happening with our deployment of the Navy? What is happening with our deployment of the Air Force? So that sorties could be flown over these places. And then we'll make sure that we're arresting these people. And we should be using a lot more of the intelligence community to be able to strengthen our fight of it. So I am pretty sure that if you left it for the military, if you give them all the resources that are required, permanent bases in these particular places, we would be able to deal with it constructively than we are currently doing. These things where they have to travel into those particular places and then the tip-offs will be done and all of that would then become a thing of the past.
Do thank you, Engineer Dr. Kenashigbe. Thank you for the airport from the then Accra International Airport. And this is it. That's a General Kotoka Trust Decree 1969. I'm going to put it on the screen right now, NLCD 339. And this, why exactly was this legislation really necessary? It was to demonstrate gratitude for liberation and rebirth of freedom in Ghana. Remember, because this 1966 coup happened at a time when there was this whole, demonstration and also the pushback on the Preventing Detention Act and this whole quest for a one-party state that the then Nkrumah-led government was being accused of pushing. And so all of this was captured in the sense that these persons who fought for their freedom and the rebirth of the freedom in Ghana and for liberation, gratitude to them, achieved by the gallant men, including Kotoka, for fighting against those quests and objectives by the then Nkrumah-led administration. The paragraph 8 of this legislation we're talking about, the objectives of the said trust, was to establish, one, the renaming of the Accra International Airport. So this is it. If you look at the paragraph 8 of this legislation, it gives reasons for the renaming of the Accra International Airport then to Kotoka International Airport after the late Lieutenant General Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka, without any financial charge being placed on the trust fund. And remember, the objective was to show gratitude to him and other gallant men for the freedom, the rebirth of freedom in Ghana. The naming of an army barracks, Kotoka Barracks, after the late General Kotoka, without any financial charge being placed on the said trust fund. The erection of a statue. You go there at some point, there was a statue of the late General Kotoka there at that same site where the Kotoka International Airport is located now, as a warrior in full battle dress at the spot where he fell. Because if you recall, the late Kotoka was shot just around that airport area where the Kotoka International Airport is located, near the Accra International Airport, and the creation of a quiet garden in the area surrounding the statue. So all of this was captured in law, okay? Now, there's another process that is going to go through this same legal process in Parliament to have this name now reverted to the original Accra International Airport. Togbi Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, a former military officer himself, a statesman. She's joining us on Zoom for a quick conversation on this. Togbi, appreciate your time on this particular issue. And the Transport Minister has been giving some reasons for the decision. And in fact, he says the renaming of the airport is, to quote, is significant in terms of its importance to the Ghanaian people, and for that matter, the African personality. You disagree? Why?
Now, firstly, it is unfortunate that such a move should come from the present government. Very unfortunate, because I thought they have learned their lesson. Lessons in the sense that we've had previous government that has disappointed the people of this country. And I thought when they come to power, there are certain things they will tackle first and foremost. And they started well, no doubt about that. For them to bring this in just a year after coming to power surprised me greatly. In the first place, is it relevant? Is it important? Secondly, such things, that is change of names or whatever they are, involves a lot of money. And the nation has no money. So who brought in that idea? Who advised the government on this issue? If the person is there, still with government, then he should bow his head in shame. There are more important issues to discuss. Now, in this world, history is the best teacher. And to quote late Malcolm X said, history is the best teacher. And if you have a problem, all that you do is that you look to others who had problems similar to your problem. And if you are able to see how they solve their problem, you use their method to solve your problem. Now, most of these young people around don't know that Kwame Nkrumah had a statue before. The very spot where he declared independence was where that statue was placed. A bronze statue. In 1996 and 1966, when he was overthrown, they brought bulldozers to bring the statue, the whole bronze statue down. Where's the statue today? And why? What we see there now was recently put there. I think we have to learn from the past. Yes, Kotoka, amongst others, plan and stage a coup.
We ensama huru itimi kwa so channel so mami ena wa so jemre e wa de sene e be san Asia